Hello and welcome to the North Bank podcast. Whereas ever, I'm joined by Stef and Chris. Hi, guys.
Evening.
Hello.
Right, for a little bit of context, we're recording this on the evening after the Arsenal game at Wolves.
Evening of.
Evening of. What did I say?
Evening after.
Evening after. The evening of. Okay, evening of the last game.
Steph has literally just walked in from the game.
I've been back 2 minutes.
That's how fresh this is.
Right,
Fresh.
okay. And we were keen to put this out tonight because I want to get some sleep tonight and I'm quite angry and I need some catharsis, I think. So I figured if we could just all shout at each other for the next 30, 40 minutes in agreement, obviously, then that would be good. First thing to say is, well done. We actually won the game. That was a big 3 points with regards to the context. And I was torn, do I open this podcast with a pro-Arsenal opening or an anti-ref rant straight away, or an anti-PGMOL or an anti-VAR rant straight away? So I think we have to acknowledge that we actually got 3 points. It was a massive, massive win. And I wonder, will we look back on at the end of the season, I wonder if we'll look back and thank Michael Oliver and Darren England on VAR, because I'm not 100% convinced we would have won that game had that injustice, that travesty happened just before half-time, because we were pretty basic fare, wasn't it, in that first 40 minutes.
It's an interesting take on it,
yeah,
Holly.
Listen, I'm going around in circles because it's not good for anybody's mental health to be so angst at something that you have zero control or impacts over. But look, we have to get straight into it. Let me read a few quotes out for you. I'm still reeling from that. I can't believe he has sent him off. Words from Tim Sherwood, that well-known Arsenal lover. How about this one? I'm all for Arsenal having a beast, but that is never a red card. One of the worst decisions I've ever seen. Jamie O'Hara. Even Mike Dean said we'd win an appeal. Sami Mukbel, kind of respected journalist, he called it the Michael Oliver farce. We witnessed an all-time Hall of Shame refereeing decision. And I don't know about you guys, but for me, it's been pretty universal. Every fan, every pundit of every club has come out and acknowledged that that was a shocking decision. And for me, my ire, whilst well positioned, aimed at Michael Oliver, is more so aimed at VAR, because surely to God that's what it's there for. And we have, I mean, I'll the last words of wisdom I'll come to is Clive of Arsenal Vision podcast, who is the most wise, serene, chill of Arsenal voices.
Buddha.
And he said, what you saw was corruption live in front of the watching football world.
Wow.
Word for word, what he said. Woof. Now, I'm sorry, when you've lost Clive, it's time to pack your bags and fuck off home. Sorry, you'll have to tick that explicit content box on YouTube, because I think I'm only warming up now.
Can you bleep video, Chris?
Can you bleep video? I don't want to be bleeped. I shall
really
not be
do.
Silenced, Steph. I shall not be silenced.
I do.
So there's two targets for my ire. Michael Oliver is one, and VAR is the other. Now, Michael Oliver, holy cow! The same Michael Oliver who I'll start with the Michael Oliver that I wish was consistent amongst all of his games. The one that refused to give Kovacic his second yellow card against us for Man City because he didn't want to ruin the game, is the same Michael Oliver who gave Martinelli 2 yellow cards in 7 seconds. Is the same Michael Oliver who sent Trossard off at City, a second yellow card incident, see Kovacic for that. The same Michael Oliver whose reaction to a studs-up challenge by Doku on McAllister in the penalty area refused to give even a penalty. That decision, which would have cost City 2 points, would ultimately have cost them the league title. And yet, he could not get his red card out quick enough. I've just before we came on air, I watched the Talk Sport live instant reaction to it. I'm no fan of Talk Sport. I it's kind of very tabloidy for me. But their live reaction, and the guy hosting it is a Liverpool fan. And straight away he said, "Oh, that's harsh. That looks harsh." And then after replay, he was like, "I have to say, as a Liverpool fan, and I want Arsenal to lose this game, that is the worst refereeing decision I think I've ever seen." Liverpool fan, live. And that's not after checking out social media and seeing which way the wind's blowing. That's not having an hour or 2 hours to kind of assimilate and process and see what's the best thing I can say or clickbait or anything like that. That's his instinctive reaction as a football fan to an incident that's happened on a football pitch. I mean, I think of all the egregious decisions that have gone against us this season, for me, that is head and shoulders the worst. Because I know, Steph, you always banged on about the letter of the law they could hide behind for the touching the second yellow card. There's nothing, and it was for violent conduct, and that's why I'm really pleased he gave a second yellow card to, is it Gomez, and not a red card, because that was a far more dangerous tackle.
Just highlights the inconsistency.
Well, same referee, same game.
Same game. And can I just jump in here and say very quickly, even if we ignore all the previous transgressions of Michael Oliver, you have in that game the microcosm of what's wrong in exactly that example of, applying different rules to suit your kind of agenda. And I don't want to get too sort of, conspiracy theory here, but if there is a law that's... No,
let's do it. No.
Okay,
that line has been crossed. Steph's gone. Bye-bye.
If you look, I was baited a lot online just by reading some comments and saying, how can you, as a football fan, truly believe that is a red? Is that the bar you want to set? Is that where you really want the game to go, with that kind of level of, or rather, setting the bar as a red card? Because if serious foul play means any contact above the ankle, let's say, which is what was cited, is a red card, then surely there has to be nuance in that, because the way he approached the tackle was kind of from the side, and there was a glancing contact.
He tripped him up.
And then the ultimate thing was the trip. He was still moving. The guy was still moving. The initial contact didn't throw him. It was the trip that actually took him over. We're not talking about head-on collision here where, proper leg breakers. So that's where it lost me. I just thought,
right, let's get back to Michael Oliver is corrupt. Let's get back to that, because let's rewind a little bit. He travelled to the UAE on in September 2023 to referee a game there, as a courtesy. Now, that league is sponsored by ADNOC, Abu Dhabi National Oil Company. Board member is the Man City chairman. But actually, ADNOC is state-owned by the owners of Manchester City. Michael Oliver's typical matchday fee in the Premier League is £1,500. For that trip, he got paid £20,000. Let me then see how... even if no conversation has ever taken place between Manchester City and Michael Oliver, subconsciously, there's bias. There has to be bias there. He's refereed 55 Arsenal games and given 8 red cards. He's refereed 50 games for Man City, 0 red cards. The body of evidence is stacking up. I'm delighted we won the game, because then this cannot come across as sour grapes or poor loser or typical Arsenal fans moaning about the referee. As Steph, you say this a lot, this is a problem for all football fans. And I think, and Chris, you messaged this, watershed moment? Is this the moment that, I mean, I like, what should happen is the PGMOL should come out and say, mistake, red card rescinded, no 3-game ban. We should not even have to, and Arteta alluded or hinted at this in his post-match interview, we should not even have to submit an appeal. It's that obvious. My fear is that they will double down and they will point to something, that still image, which is ridiculous. And Arsenal should go and take that as far as they possibly can. Remember, Arteta got off with, what did he get off with? Because he just presented a whole body of evidence. Oh, his reaction to the Newcastle goal from last season, wasn't it? Because we don't need to go into all those replays of those incidents. We just got the Gomez tackle in the same game, same referee, yellow card. And it was far more dangerous. So, okay. I've ranted a little bit. That's only 11 minutes in. And I've only sworn once. So I think I'm doing really well. Chris, you were watching. I actually didn't see the game. I wasn't watching it. I was following it on. On text and social media, and I've seen the clips and so on. So, Chris, you were actually watching the game, and Steph, you were actually at the game. So, I think I'll kind of step into the shadows perhaps now, and let Steph. I'm so curious because I've not had this. We have not had this conversation yet. In the ground, what was your live reaction to the incident, as in the tackle, then the red card, and then the kind of the immediate aftermath, because it did go to VAR, and then obviously, mobile phones and so on, you pretty quickly got the temperature for what the wider footballing world, how the wider footballing world had viewed it. But talk us through that. That kind of incident and its kind of reaction, your reaction to it as a fan group in the ground.
Utter disbelief. Because the foul is made. No one is questioning. I don't really even want to talk about the foul because it's a foul.
Yellow card.
It's a yellow card. We've literally invented a phrase to explain that kind of situation. It's the taking one for the team. Okay? Guy who sits a couple of seats up from me, or sat a couple of seats up from me, said Rodri has made a career out of making tackles like that and stopping opposition attacks, and he's won the Ballon d'Or. And here is one of these incidents happening. So as soon as it happened, he's gone to his pocket, and I'm just thinking, yellow card. Everyone is. As soon as we see red, well, the away end erupts, and it just made actually quite an uninspiring, quite flat kind of game and occasion, all of a sudden venomous and vile. And all it did was really kind of attract attention to the referee so much more. And Michael Oliver became the lightning rod for ours and what should be all football fans' ire at officials at spoiling these games. Spoiling it. And now, turns out it became quite exciting and we managed to win. But, and you mentioned this before as well, because I think actually Chris was the first to say it about, how this poor officiating, whether it's the official on the field or whether it's the official that's in Stockley Park, okay, poor officiating is all of our problem. This isn't just unique to Arsenal. Yes, we have a bit of a chip on our shoulder because we feel that there are certain instances that seem to put us in a bit more peril than maybe others. These incidents that happen that seem to never, ever happen to anyone else. There's a couple of unique things that we'll get to. But anyway, forget that. Poor officiating is everyone's problem, which is why, even when Michael Oliver sent off the Wolves player for his second yellow card, the Arsenal fans were chanting, "It's all about you. It's all about you. Michael Oliver, it's all about you." Because all of a sudden, the story of the game was not good football play. It was not good defence. It was not good attack. It was not good tactics. It was not the art of football. It was the officiating of the game, which had taken precedence. How long has it been since we've said God, that ref had a good game. You barely noticed he was there. Can't remember. There's always something. And it's just rubbish. And like you say, I think it's also worth pointing out that actually, in the heat of the moment, seeing something once, and I'm not excusing what Oliver did at all, because I think it's a ridiculous decision, even live. What's VAR looking at? What's VAR doing?
Get it?
I just don't understand. And our reaction was to the incident. It felt like in the ground that there wasn't a VAR check. It felt like there wasn't a VAR check. Now, we know there must have been one going on, but we couldn't believe when he wasn't sent to the monitor and they essentially just got on with the game. There wasn't even that thing I really hate, the patronising little explanation on the screen. Wolves have got a screen in either corner. They could have easily done it. No patronising thing saying violent conduct, blah, blah, blah. Lewis Skelly tried to scythe him down from,
They couldn't.
They couldn't. If they put that on there, I mean, it was just ridiculous. So then it's all about Michael Oliver and the official on the pitch. And like I say, I think Darren England in Stockley Park has also let him down massively. Because, and again, we've said all this before, this is why I don't think it will be a watershed moment. It should be, because it's such an egregious error that everyone seems unanimously against. But Darren England's in Stockley Park. Now, I don't know where the hierarchy of referees is, but Michael Oliver's up there. It's Anthony Taylor, maybe. It's Michael Oliver.
I'd say Michael Oliver's the top.
They're probably up there, aren't they?
Yeah.
Exactly right. So Darren England's thinking, well, hang on, if Michael's ahead of me, and it's why we've been crying out. The whole process, everything, it's just naked corruption. Then there's Howard Webb, and who's the Burke who's on Sky Sports on a Monday? Dermot Gallagher. Mike Dean's on in the live. It's Soccer Saturday. He's there live. Now, what you've done by doing that, they probably think they're being open and transparent. They're not. What they're doing, A, they're controlling the narrative, and B, they are spotlighting referees. They are giving them main character energy, to use a phrase that, kids nowadays seem to use as well. And it's that idea of, no, what you've done is made them the centre of attention. A quick explanation of a justification and then move on. But at the same time, there just needs to be a separation of administrators and actual refs on the field, because they're going to protect their mate. They know what a hard job it is. They're all friends with Oliver. They know the abuse he got, all game on him. And so every foul from then on, it was, that's a red card. There's a red card. Give him a red card. Because it was so ridiculous. He was so far away from goal. And it spoiled the whole thing. I'm so glad we won, because first half it was flat. Second half, we really responded. It felt like the easy decision was to take Nwaneri off and bring Calafiori on. But actually, and you said this in, Chris, when I got back on the minibus and I saw that there were a quadrillion messages from you and Holly, Calafiori's progression of the ball actually added to our attack. It really was noticeable that he gave us that width and that cover. It was really, really good to see. And Nwaneri did okay. He was fine. He was deputising for Odegaard, who is a completely irreplaceable player. And then, we got the goal from that as well. Wolves will be kicking themselves. Oh, that reminds me. Sorry, I've gone on a rant now. We're up to 19 minutes. Chris, you can have 10 minutes.
Mate, you're entitled to. You were there, so...
This is it.
Are you saying that hang on, are you saying I'm not entitled?
No.
Wow.
No, you weren't even watching.
Right, final thing I want to mention, because I think it is about football fans coming together now. I want to call out the Wolverhampton fans, because there was a couple of decisions that didn't go their way before we had Skelly sent off. And they literally responded with the classic things. You don't know what you're doing. You don't know what you're doing. Premier League is corrupt. Premier League is corrupt. And all that kind of thing. As soon as we get a player sent off, wee. Now, if you as a Wolves fan can't look at that decision and go, oh, he's pulled a red, bloody hell, then,
Yeah, but they're probably delighted as well, though, aren't they?
No, but there's one
relegation.
Yes, and that's why I'm hoping...
In the moment,
fine. That's why I'm hoping away from that. On reflection,
I'm sure they would.
We all look at these decisions and we all look at these things and we think, do you know what? Actually, absolutely rubbish. Because we were the ones, was it not last season, maybe the start of the season before, might have been the start of last season, when Wolves seemed to be the team that were getting no decisions. Yeah. Famously, that one at Man United, Onana comes out, clears their player, nothing given. Ridiculous. Because 99% of football fans and people who watch football on a regular basis looked at that and went, well, that's a penalty. But the one person that can make that decision didn't think it was a penalty. Absolute nonsense. And we all need to stop the banter and things like that. And yeah, in the heat of the moment, look, Wolves are in trouble. Wolves are really in trouble. They didn't take the game to us with 10 men at all. They looked really flat. And I'll tell you who looked really flat, Cunha. No, for me, he's off the list now because I don't get it.
Or worth a really cheeky bid. He must have wiped 20 million off his asking price with that performance.
Good point. Maybe it's an inside job. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
but yeah, it was just. I think all fans, that whole banter thing of same old Arsenal always cheating. Well, no. If we're cheating, we're not doing very well at it because we're not getting away with these things. It's absolute nonsense. And we
need to copy City.
We were apoplectic. The away end was poison, and that's why we exploded at the end, because it was as much relief and to stick one on and say you can't cheat us, so we'll stand up to them. And that team, yes, it's got flaws, and yes, it's had injuries, but boy, did they show some character today. Brilliant.
Absolutely. To lose Ødegaard on the day of the game, having lost Marino the day before. I mean, it is some character, absolutely. And I mean, I was so relieved that we won the game, almost more so, because it meant that we couldn't have accusations of always moaning thrown at us, because I wanted to let loose at that decision.
Awful.
And the VAR, I think it's unacceptable. It should not happen. And I don't know who was on Twitter said, at what point is the best? I think it was one of the Spurs fans, Ben Bowman, or one of the TikTokers. Spurs, they're decent supporters, very kind of reasoned and sensible. And I think he said, at what point is the best league in the world going to get the best referees in the world? And it's like, we've managers and players from overseas. Why not referees from overseas? And just get the best and pay them, because they're essentially the most important cog in that machine. Because as we can see, look, we managed to hang on to Liverpool's coattails today with a big win, as in an important win rather than a comfortable win. And we're not talking about it. I'm actually viewing the win as an excuse to hammer home this point about the PGMOL and VAR and the referee. I mean, if it's not corruption, it's incompetence. So, take your pick, PGMOL, because it's one of the two. Yes, it's one of the two. But the evidence against Michael Oliver in particular, he should not be refereeing an Arsenal game or a City game or a Man United game or a Liverpool game, any game. I mean, so then he's
effectively demoted then.
Himself, yeah. But himself, is whether it's conscious or unconscious bias, it's there. Yeah. It's there because the evidence backs it up. There's too many incidents that have happened on his watch for us to turn around and say, it's just coincidence. Bollocks.
I think it's also the way, as you've referenced, the way that it's all been backed up by this kind of boys club mentality of, rallying round, and rather than break this cycle of incompetence, they seem to be just kicking the can down the road, and I can't wait to see how, I don't want to watch it, but there'll be a Howard Webb cringy kind of video deconstructing the tackle and saying why it was a red card,
Do the same thing for Gomez in the same game. Let them do that.
Exactly.
But will Sky hold their... hold their feet to the coals? What's the phrase over that?
And even
maybe there'll be.
Sorry, I was just going to say, there could be a slight diffusing of the situation, as there could be with other situations. If Oliver came out afterwards and said, "Okay, did that in the moment and realised that I've made a mistake," okay, and that's fine, because they are human.
But he won't do that
But he
because
won't, and that's
VAR
the
backs
thing,
him
he
up.
won't.
But because VAR backs him up.
But then there needs to be another thing, because that's the problem, isn't it? That's the process. And like you say, it's hard not for us to just look at that decision, but everyone's saying it. You know, we were listening in the minibus on the way back, literally just now, and it was all the football phone-ins, you know, TalkSport 5 Live. Didn't hear one voice to the contrary. And you're talking Robbie Savage, Chris Sutton. And these are people who love to moan and bait Arsenal fans. And they're all looking at it going, what is going on?
Yeah.
Ridiculous.
There was just why the PGMOL, Howard Ware, their reaction is going to be, or response rather, is going to be very interesting. They could get ahead of it, and I think Bruno Fernandes, they did that. They didn't wait for an appeal. They said no, mistake, shouldn't have been a red card. Rescinded it straight away, like as in on the Monday. If that card isn't rescinded on Monday, then we know
we riot.
the lay of the land. Sorry.
We riot.
Well, he'll get an extra game ban for a frivolous appeal or something like that.
So here's my other thing as well. You know, even taking away the impact that it has on the game, and as someone that was there, totally spoiled it as a spectacle, to be honest. And even the second sending off, like I say, we still reacted badly to that, because it's like, what's going on? Like, there was just no control. Anyway, Skelly does that. Basically, all he's done is, just outside their penalty area, he's tripped up one of their players because they're going to break. Okay? It's cynical, blah, blah, blah. Yellow card, that's fine. He's got a red card, that's changed the game. Because it's a straight red card, he misses the next three. How is that a fair sort of equivocation, there you go, of the crime that he's supposedly committed? Absolutely unreasonable.
When Gomez does a worse tackle because it's a second
One
yellow.
game ban.
One game ban. He misses, and Michael Oliver's got this famous picture where he's in a Newcastle kit.
That's his brother. I've seen this picture before.
Has he got a twin brother?
It's a twin or a brother who's very much alike him. It's not him, it's his brother.
Okay, so he's got no allegiance to his brother in a Newcastle.
He is a Newcastle fan. Like, there's no getting away with that. But the picture that does the round on social media is Michael
okay.
Oliver.
So
they all have allegiances. They're all going to have a team.
What two league games is Skelly missing?
Well, Man City's one of them.
And Newcastle's the other.
No, Newcastle's in the.
It's in the League Cup.
So he'll be missing.
So 2 of the 3 games he's missing.
Yeah. Man City, Newcastle, and Chelsea.
Just another.
Maybe. I can't remember. No, Leicester. It'll be Leicester. Yeah, it's just not a fair punishment for what he's supposedly done.
So what do you think will happen, Steph?
I think because of the furore around it.
Furore.
Because of the anger.
Rory talks. What? Yeah, anger.
And because of it's such a universal reaction, I do think they'll rescind it. They'll do a Fernandes and say no, it's not a red card. I think that's what they'll do. I would not be shocked or surprised if it just stands, and that's it.
But we will appeal it. Obviously, if they don't rescind it,
but then it's an automatic one. If they don't agree to it, it's an automatic extra game ban.
No, it's not automatic. No, they can decide. They can just turn down the appeal, and then, but they can. They cannot argue it's a frivolous appeal. They just can't. But then, I mean, they can't deny the appeal either.
As an English teacher, the wording in that is ridiculous. So if you make a frivolous appeal, you get an extra game ban. But if you make a genuine appeal, then it's not an extra game ban.
I think it's the incident. It's the incident that's frivolous or genuine.
By making a genuine appeal, surely you're sort of admitting that there was reason that it wasn't a clear and obvious, actual fixed decision, and it could have been reversed, and therefore you're undermining your own point. Oh, it's just so annoying. The whole thing, just bin it all. Just the ref, VAR, no, gone. They're all human. They're going to make mistakes.
The thing is, don't care. Yeah, but so binning VAR. Today, they're impotent. The boys' club, as you said, alluded to, Chris. But binning VAR today wouldn't have changed the red card. It still would have been a red card. And so that points to either your corruption or more sinister corruption, or your kind of less cynicism perhaps, but your incompetence. So just get better bloody referees in.
Yes, exactly.
That's it.
Who sees that as a red card?
Nobody.
No one.
Nobody. And again, if Michael Oliver in the moment saw that as a red card, then VAR should have helped him out. As I don't know, was it Alan Shearer said that Darren England and VAR failed Michael Oliver?
Failed the game.
Because he might have thought he wanted him to do. He might have been doing him a favour by not going against him, but he did the opposite. He's thrown him under the bus. Really, I'd love to hear the audio, the exchange
That'll get
that
leaked.
they had.
Arsenal Twitter and Blue Sky,
Hackers
they'll be all
Anonymous
over that. Yeah, that'll be out before you know it. Honestly.
And it's another one of those, just sort of cap it off, the echo chamber we've created. the fact that you'll never see that given again is what I would say as well. It's another one of those, like the clash of heads. I just cannot imagine that being given again.
Well, it won't, because it shouldn't have been given the first time, because it's never ever a red card. It just the mind boggles. I did look at, because I didn't watch the game. Okay, shoot me. I did go onto Arseblog to get his player ratings, but I got sidetracked by his. I didn't know. I have no idea what his player ratings were, because he normally gives a comment about
at the bottom.
Yeah, his comment after every single player was simply "fuck Michael Oliver." And I just thought, do you know what? I don't need to know about play. I know that, so Steph, I want to ask you, because you're at the game. For me, reading around it, the three players that stood out and got most kind of attention, David Raya, Declan Rice and William Saliba. Those three players kind of seemed to... I mean, Raya made a couple of big saves.
Yeah, definitely. And Rice seemed to be everywhere. His corner kicks were certainly better than Trossard's, and Saliba was okay. But I think most of that stems from the fact that actually we were back to that kind of not very fluid front line, I think, more than anything. And I tell you what, I mean, Havertz just needs a rest.
He does need
Poor
a rest,
guy.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I mean, he was unlucky with his first header. The second header, he should have scored. The third header, fair enough. You miss the XG on the third and the first headers wouldn't be that high, but the XG on the second one must be, that's...
But also his hold-up play, he just looked so fatigued towards the end, where you really needed, where we're one up, and his hold-up play just
no
wasn't...
one on the bench.
No one on the bench.
I know. I mean, the irony of us going down to 10 and then playing better shouldn't be overlooked.
Well, okay, so there's my question, Chris, for you then. Did we need the injustice of the sending off to win the game?
Well, we shouldn't have needed it, but it clearly made a difference. And I think the half-time... message, as I think Calafiori alluded to afterwards, was that we shouldn't feel sorry for ourselves, and we don't just want to sit on this and hope that we hold on for a draw. We're going to go for it and play as if we've got 11 men. I mean, paraphrasing, but that was the kind of message that Calafiori said was given at half time, and I thought they played like that. Really took the game to Wolves at the opening 10 minutes of the first half. Second half, I thought we were really good. We shouldn't have needed that shot in the arm of the injustice, the sense of injustice, but it obviously did the trick.
Well, when I asked you the question, Chris, Steph was frantically waving his arms.
Only because I don't want to equate the two things. It's that whole thing of if we'd had that player on, we might have blah, blah, blah. And that thing always sort of annoys me, because you just never know, the timeline split in the multiverse kind of,
sliding doors.
Yeah, exactly. But it doesn't justify what.
No, not at all.
But we're not saying that at all.
But it's a catalyst,
Well, look at George Graham. George Graham, when we had the point stocked in that, you use it them against us. We're renowned for it.
So I'm assuming, Holly, you were quite pleased, because I did think, and I did say to a couple of people, that it was a better reaction than we saw when we lost Declan Rice because of the Brighton game.
Yes.
That one, we seemed to sit back almost invitingly, and we shouldn't have done that, because we were at home as well, whereas today
leading.
We didn't do that.
We were winning. There was
like you say,
leading.
And we were winning. Yeah, maybe that was the mindset. Maybe it was just we have...
And with City,
we hold what we have. City, I think, is a different case, because that you give them even more space than is already there with a man down, you're screwed. So I can sort of understand that. But Brighton, no, not at all. Today was the blueprint where it was like, no, we dominate. And like you said, Chris, I'm glad you said that, because we were watching it and our eyebrows were raised, and we had a new kind of impetus, even in the away end, because in that first sort of 10, 15 minutes of the second half, we were all in their half. We were playing really, really well.
And breathe.
You didn't see any of that then, Holly?
Well, I saw that we won 3 corners in the first 5-6 minutes of the second half, after having had 1 corner in the entirety of the first half. So it was quite clear that it was all us. Listen, don't question my dedication. I had Arsblog on, I had BBC on, I had William Hill on, I had Twitter on, I had TikTok on, yeah. I had everything. I had like 8 screens in front of me with different things, different feeds and so on. I was up to date. I knew what was happening before it happened on the pitch.
Did you have like a Subbuteo reenactment?
Yes, I had the kids. Hang on. Look, what happens when... That's a trip. That's not a red card. There you go. So even when we recreated the scene here. Right. Okay, so I asked plus points about that injustice. Okay. We've got a game in the Champions League on Wednesday. Do you want to have a little think about that? Or do you want to carry on ranting about Michael Oliver and Darren England?
It should be a non-event. Girona cannot qualify even for the playoff places. So one assumes that they're likely to rotate from their best 11 so as to focus on the league, or at least make some changes. We have to get some rest for certain players. I don't want to see Timber and Havertz anywhere near that pitch. Other players might have a little bit of, you like this phrase, Chris, bit of ticking over could be there, whether they start and we plan for them to come off, or whether they just come on for the last sort of 20 minutes, fine. However, we're so limited on some of the changes we can make.
Was Tomiyasu on the bench today?
No.
Did he get injured sitting on the bench in the last game?
I missed the chance. I should have gone, who?
Yeah.
Look, who knows? But yeah, changes have to be made because we need to rest, because it's Man City next week.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, just on that, Arteta was asked about Max Daumann, who's now 15. He's not 14 anymore, he's 15. On New Year's Eve, I think his birthday was, or something like that. He's not allowed to play because he's too young. And Arteta made the point that this is only in England, that if he was in Europe, he could be playing, no problem. So I think he's that good.
Yeah,
that Arteta would have.
Interesting that his initial reaction wasn't, well, he's young, we've got to protect him, blah, blah, blah.
That was my first thought.
Yeah, look at him. He's out there in the training ground. Did you see him, those clips of him moving around on the training ground?
They said that he every time you present him with a bigger challenge, he just adapts straight away. And he constantly surprises us on the training ground. I mean, how good must he be? Holy crap. But I think Arteta would have him on the bench, no doubt, no question. And, another one, I know he wears the number 7 for the under-21s, but I think his future will be more central, like an 8 or a 10. I think that's where he's kind of earmarked for. But yeah, so I don't know who. I haven't actually put down a team selection for. Is it Wednesday? Is Wednesday? Every game's on Wednesday, isn't it? But yeah, you're absolutely right. Havertz shouldn't be starting that game. We've really got City to keep City in mind. City, who won 3-1 in a really quite open game against Chelsea. I'm not convinced that 3-1 win was as convincing as some City fans I've seen posting about it think it was. But yeah, look, they're on a better run of form, certainly, than they were, like say a month ago. But they've got a really difficult game home to Club Brugge in the Champions League, and they have to win it. So high intensity game there. You never know. An early goal for Club Brugge might put their backs up a little bit, but. Have you guys picked a team for us?
I jotted some notes down.
Go
on
on.
the bus in the way back from the game.
Yeah.
Well
but
done.
it's literally, Neto in goal, Partey right back, because lol.
Yeah, that's what I would do. Yeah,
Kivior, Gabriel, Calafiori, Nwaneri, Jorginho, Marino, Sterling, Trossard, Butler, Oyedeji.
yeah. Marino's injured, I think.
He
Oh,
got
is
a
he?
knock,
Picked up
but
an-
I don't know how serious it is.
I wonder whether or not Calla as well could be rested for Zinni.
I
I'm
would
just
say so, yeah.
reflecting on what you've said rather than read out an entire new team. That would be my only change, is Zinni left back if he's not sold, and Marino, unfortunately, if he hasn't recovered from his
Does
knock.
Calafiori not need a few minutes in his legs?
Potentially.
Or was
but
that enough of an
again,
intense half today? Yeah, maybe.
Considering it's him.
Yeah.
we're waiting on MLS obviously for City, but sorry, the that one
The American lad.
the lad who committed that atrocious foul.
The violent, reckless criminal that
But
is.
I did notice that he actually received his first yellow card for Arsenal before he actually played a minute of Premier League football. Oh, so he has got that
Edge.
spice to him, spikiness to him. But that's why we love him, because that's why he's as good as he is, because this is my manor. I belong here. I have got one AOB, and it was it's via Rory Talks from David Ornstein via Rory Talks, and it's about Marcus Rashford. And this is quite interesting. He said from The Athletic, Rashford to Arsenal is a definite possibility. Now, but
Can I go?
that's not. That's
Can I
not,
go to bed now, please?
That's not. But that's not the whole story, though, because if that were to be the case, we'd either have to send Sterling or Neto back, or make one of their loans permanent. So that wouldn't be Sterling; that'd be Neto probably. That's if we're to get Rashford on loan. But we could actually buy Rashford. Steph, you know this is video.
I don't care. Like,
you're doing the scream.
Do not sign Rashford. Please don't sign
no.
Rashford.
No, it's you've learned your lesson from Sterling. Hopefully, as a club,
correct.
you'd like to think.
Not having it.
Okay, I'm not going to talk about the January transfer window because I can't be bothered. Basically, I've got enough anger in me system or frustration
I think
without.
we've got enough of a catharsis in tonight, and Steph's just got back, so I think we need to wind this up now. Match of the day has just started, by the way. Lewis Skelly's just been sent off.
Spoiler alert.
Oh, damn it, you've ruined it. Steph, but listen, you must. I know you said it ruined the game as a spectacle, but surely that made the win all the more.
And there was a definite, considering how much of a gut punch Villa felt throwing that 2-goal lead away, this seemed really galvanising. No one is pretending for a minute that, we're all of a sudden, on a blah, 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 because there's a lot to navigate, and we're still, Liverpool, again, comfortable win. You worry that they've just had their blip, just a few draws.
No, they go to Bournemouth next. Come on.
Oh, the informed team, Bournemouth. God, yeah, absolutely. And look, but it's just the fact that it's undeniable the effort that this team are putting in, because they're dealing. Look, injuries happen to all teams, and ours have been pretty devastating this year, like a lot of others as well. On top of that, we've had some literally now ridiculous decisions to also sort of deal with. And the thing that always gets me as well is just the level of scrutiny that always see. And it's hard for me to not sound like an Arsenal fan just moaning, but it does feel weird. You would sometimes, reading the press and hearing some of the coverage, and especially all the noise online, you would think we were the ones in 15th and not Spurs. You would think we were the ones in, I don't even know what it is, 12th, is it? And not United. It's just weird that we're second in the league and we're able to do that given, some of the obstacles. And this team are so committed. Yeah, and look, there's still flaws, and we'd still love that striker to come in. But boy, that was good today.
Well, as English teachers, Steph, we like a good cyclical structure. So I think, as I said at the start, fast forward to the end of the season, and will we look back at today as that, you said, galvanising, that pivotal moment where we decided, no, not just this game, but this league title's for us. Let's go and get it.
Let's take some of that spirit into City next week. Bring it on.
Yeah, so Liverpool have got a tough away game at Bournemouth. We've got an easy home game against City. Right, okay, look, yeah, match of the day beckons. I'm off to watch it. Thanks for the chat. Do I feel better? We won the game, so I think, again, I think let's watch this space. My mood will react to what evolves over the next day or two with regards to PGMOL and Skelly's red card. But if he's not available for the City game, we've got problems. And by we, I mean the Premier League football. Every single club has got problems. So I'll reserve judgment on that. Anyway, thanks for the chat, Steph. Well done. More power to you. Have a rest. Watch match of the day. Decompress.
Might watch it in the morning on the repeat.
Well, listen, I'm too wired to go to sleep after having so many screens in front of me.
Yeah.
Do you know what? We can't leave without mentioning what a sweetly struck goal that was from Calafiori.
Yes.
Well, I'll leave it
first
at that,
time.
really,
and that's the thing. We're not talking about the football.
Yeah.
That's it. And that's the sad takeaway from it. We should be talking about the football, but we're not. Anyway, I wish all you two, but everyone listening and watching out there a lovely weekend, a great week, and we'll catch up again after Zagreb. That's to everybody except Michael Oliver, Darren Englands, and PGMOL. What did I say? Zagreb. That was last week. I think I've done all right. A couple of glasses of wine in. Anyway, cheerio. Bye-bye.
Go to bed.
See ya.
The North Bank, an Arsenal podcast. Subscribe, rate and review on your app, and find us on Twitter, Instagram and TikTok at North Bank Pod. Email hello@thenorthbankafc.com and check out our website, thenorthbankafc.com. Produced by The Podcast Company.